Hello everyone. So in today's video, I'll be sharing with you my current portfolio and the new tokens that I bought in January 2023. A lot of time I keep getting asked, what's your current portfolio and what are the new projects, and asking me whether I've invested in this project or that project. And I try and post like a periodical update of what my current portfolio is, what are the tokens I'm holding. So, and also along with that, I'll also be sharing some tips about Uniswap strategies, and how to do liquidity mining in Uniswap, because it's a little bit different from an Ethereum perspective to do liquidity mining as compared to some of the other blockchains. So as usual, disclaimer and warning, I'm not a financial advisor or investment expert. None of what I say is actually a financial advice or investment advice. I basically make these videos only to share the information and the learnings that I've acquired over a period of time. And you do your own decisions, take your own decisions based on your own research. Again, I'm going to use an Excel today because I'm going to be sharing the list of tokens today. So it's going to be a slightly different format. So to start off with, if you look at the tokens that I'm holding right now, these are the current tokens that I'm holding. But before we talk about the current tokens, I just wanted to take a step back and look at what we shared when we started the channel, back in 2020 and 2021. So like in 2020, a lot of emphasis I had spent initially explaining what is crypto. But at the same time, I was asked, what are the projects that I'm investing in? I gave a rationale, and from episode 2 to episode 3, from the initial episodes, I've been sharing these list of tokens. And these were the low prices at that point after I had mentioned them in the channel, or why I have investing, and I gave the explanation as to why I'm investing it. And these are the low prices. And from that price point, you can actually go to CoinStats, look at the price on that particular day and look at the peak price, and it's all there in the charts. And all of these tokens I had mentioned in those videos, in those episodes that I'm giving in the right hand side column. So these tokens, many of these tokens, as you can see, almost all of them did a 10x from the point that we talked about these tokens, or from the point that I said I'm making an investment in these tokens. A few of these tokens like WRX, GRT, for example, went up by nearly 80 times, 90 times, for example. And many of these tokens also went up like 20 times as well. So these are some of the examples as to if you find the right project and with conviction, if you wait on that project, knowing that there is a strong development team and knowing that there is a strong use case for that project, in blockchain, in crypto, you can do similar to what you can in a stock market. That's what I had been explaining from the beginning of my videos, and that's what I wanted to share in today's video, just to reiterate the point that if you stick to conviction and if you stick to basics in terms of choosing a project, choosing the right team behind the project, and understanding the crypto that you are investing in, then you can definitely make those kind of profits when the market return back into a bull market. So all of this content we were sharing even before the 2020 bull market started. But rightly so, if you look at the dates, most of the peak dates were achieved in 2021. And the last 18 months, from the almost mid of 2021 to the end of 2022, in the last 18 months, if you look at it, a lot of these cryptos have been going in a decline. But even then, many of these cryptos, like, for example, BTR, GRT, Link, CRO, the price of Atom, for example, when we talked about it, was about $4 back in 2020. Even today, it is about $13. So even though it had gone up to $42, it had gone up and it had come down drastically from that point, it is still higher than the point that we had originally talked about it in our videos, except a few tokens like INJ and so on, which are actually lower than the point that we had originally talked about it 2.5 years back. Now some tokens haven't done necessarily that well. So like for the tokens below, these are tokens that I have mentioned a few times that have sold off completely. But the tokens in the top, the top 10 tokens that I'm talking about, all of those tokens are still in my portfolio even after 2.5 years. So my expectation is that whenever the market begins to go on a bull run next time, these projects have built even stronger use case, with the exception of a few which we'll talk about now, which are practically these three tokens like Copycat, MF, and Zap. These are tokens that I keep getting a lot of questions. they haven't done necessarily that well. And if you look at the comparison between their current price and their all-time high price, from the point of their all-time high price, they have fallen nearly about 99%. And very rarely a project can kick off from the point where it has fallen 99% from its all-time high. There are several reasons behind it. Copycat obviously is because there's a slow development team. They haven't necessarily followed up on some of their promises. MMF, we've talked quite a lot about it. There's a lot of bad decisions from the team. Hopefully the decisions that they've taken now will help them improve. Zap is again another question that I keep consistently getting asked. It was a great project. It had great ideas, and it had a very strong development team initially when we were talking about it back in 2020. But in the last 1 year or in the last 18 months, the development team is completely non-existent. The management team has been absolutely incompetent, and they are non-existent literally. So that is where the project has slid down to this value right now. And if you ask me, these are not the choices at this point. These are not tokens that I would ask a new investor to invest in. Although all of these 3 tokens, I am holding the tokens right now. I haven't sold it off. As a new investor, if I'm going to invest in these tokens, these will not be in the top of my recommendations. There are only 3 projects in the entirety of what we've spoken about, which I had to sell at a complete loss. One is Taurus, AGO, Agora token, and Vault Finance. They were not rug pulls. I mean, one thing that we try and be very careful about in our in all the research that we do is to make sure that we don't have any tokens which are being rug pulled. But these projects were at a point in time abandoned by the development team because they did not have the will to move forward, or they didn't want to move forward for various reasons. As a result, at that point, they had given notice to the customer base that sell off all your tokens because we're going to close the project, and we had to sell those tokens. There was no other opportunity, no other option available for those tokens. Those are 3 tokens where from the point that we bought those tokens, it never actually went above the prices, or it never had actually achieved a profit from the point that we actually bought the tokens. Even Copycat, MMF, and Zap, from the price point that we had bought, it had at least given like a 200%, 300% profit at some points in time. Like for example, Copycat went from 0.22 to about 0.46 at one point, but it had a rapid decline after that point when it was selected for Binance Labs Accelerator, for example. But Taurus, AGO, and Vex did not have a run at all, and these are like out of the 40 or 50 projects that we would have talked about in the channel, these are 3 or 4 projects which did not have any profit at all. So while we are talking about good projects that we've selected or good projects that we've talked about, there is always going to be a bit of these kind of projects where from a probability perspective, there will always be a few projects which will not give you the same return. So there is absolutely no guarantee that after having done all the research, if we are still picking up some of the tokens, it is going to give the same kind of results as the past performance. There will be some tokens like this, which is why the volatility of crypto needs to be understood clearly. And that investing in crypto comes with a bit of risk. And also the fact that why we need to diversify our portfolio, because only when you diversify, you make sure that you don't keep all your eggs in a basket like Zap or an MMF, for example, where everything goes bust. So that is very important why I keep a very diverse portfolio, and one of the reasons why I have these many number of tokens that I invest in. So again, I usually rank these tokens in terms of how much dollar value I have, but I decided this time as a new investor, what I would be most interested in seeing is my confidence level as an investor. So if I was a new investor, these are the tokens that I am most confident, and I have a high confidence on the first 2 columns. So Render, Seek, and CRO are my most confident tokens, and the reason is Render is obviously it's making strides in terms of the GPU rendering power that it has decentralized, and a lot of good projects, even Hollywood level projects, are using Render OTI as the rendering engine, and they are effectively monetizing this service at the moment, and they probably have very less competition at the moment. Render as a project, for example. Seek, again, from a VR perspective, they have done enormous work in terms of the VR capabilities that they've brought in. And with more advancements in the VR headsets and VR engines, VR is probably going to become the next step in terms of the entertainment from what we have seen so far. So I believe that's also having a great potential. CRO, again, we've talked about a lot in our platform. So, and these tokens, BNB, Ethereum and BTC, they are like, I'm now considering them as a hedge token in the sense, I'm almost putting them in line with like stable coins, because they are now a store of value. They are not going to like suddenly lose like 80-90% of the value, because their use case is primarily right now seen as platform and store of value. So I would probably, when I'm providing liquidity, I would want this to be one of my pairs, because in case one of the pairs is actually going up or going down my impermanent loss, I'm happy to have more of these tokens, and we will see this in the Uniswap example that we're going to talk about. And again, from a high confidence perspective, INJ Injective is doing enormous strides in the Cosmos ecosystem. It's probably been one of the tokens we've been speaking about quite a lot in our channel from an Injective perspective. The perpetuals exchange that they've built is actually attracting a lot of attention right now. And in fact, recently after I published the Tamil version of it, there was a $150 million acceleration fund also. Chainlink we've spoken about enough, SHIB we've spoken about enough, GRT again we've spoken about enough, Graph token, Atom is going to probably get more value when the Internet of Blockchains concept and the Cosmos 2.0 when it is being built. I think Atom's going to gradually get more and more value when the Cosmos chains are themselves getting more value. FLR, I think, recently published a video about a separate episode about the Flare token. So these are my main tokens. Again, from a medium perspective, BTR we've spoken about, MMF and Copycat. Even though MMF is a medium and Copycat is a low, again, like I said, it's not the tokens that I would recommend as a top investment for a new investor. So WRX, Matic, Cake, everything is still there as my medium token. The reason I'm holding Matic separately as a medium token is because my strategy is to try and see if I can get a passive income out of it. Matic is probably one of the tokens where I'm getting the least options or least trustable DeFi options in the Matic, in the Polygon ecospace. That's why I'm keeping everything almost in MELP, which is like an index token, which also has Matic. I don't hold Matic separately as a token. Avalanche, AVAX, and some of the new tokens, and right now we need to talk about the new tokens. So Tenafy is a new exchange in BNB. It's a bit risky at the moment because it had a great start to the liquidity, but then obviously it is because it attracted by giving a higher APR percentage, and as we know, as the APR percentage decreases, that's when the true test of a decentralized exchange comes into picture. So we need to wait and watch how much Tenafy is able to sustain the liquidity pressure once the price starts to decline from the token perspective. Wombat exchange and Magpie are practically related to each other. This is a stable coin exchange, so we probably need a separate dedicated episode about the Wombat exchange and the MGP. And Cosmos positions, I know I've marked a few other tokens in blue because actually INJ, Atom and CRO are also on the Cosmos ecosystem. But I haven't explored outside of these three tokens. I hadn't explored the other Cosmos exchanges. Primarily because of Luna, I would say. Explained in the episode that I posted about Luna, the stablecoin UST was one of my biggest concerns, that I was expecting that it was going to fall, and I did not have I didn't want to take the risk in investing in some of these exchanges or some of the other Cosmos ecosystems, because everything was heavily reliant on UST at that point, and I didn't have confidence on UST as a stable coin. And we had talked about it even during the Luna episode. So right now they have, I think, come out effectively from the debacle of Luna and the UST, and I think that this is probably the right time to start investing in the Cosmos ecosystem, especially Osmo, Juno and Akash network, which is a decentralized equivalent to like AWS, for example, Secret, SERT. And I've taken also small positions in Hua and STRD. STRD is a liquid staking protocol in Cosmos, and I'm taking small steps into some of the other decentralized protocols like Arbitrum with Harmony. There are a few tokens that I'm actually exploring, but I haven't taken a position yet. Change Finance, CHNG, Hoppers, Astroport is basically coming to INJ in a few months, It's an AMM engine that's coming to Injective. So there are a few tokens that I'm exploring which I haven't taken position yet. And these are the blockchains and the blockchain platforms that I'm currently using, because most of my trades or most of my positions are in decentralized exchanges right now. I'm practically not touching any of the centralized exchanges. So from a Kronos perspective, CRS Swap, Boat Candy, MMF we talked about. CRS Swap and Boat Candy, I'll give you a brief demo at the end of this video. Minted is a NFT platform, EVSys based NFT platform. Argo Finance is a liquid staking protocol. VVS Finance. So I said I had moved everything away from VVS Finance. I'll give you an explanation as to why I'm still continue to use VVS Finance. And Weird Apes Club is another NFT based project. BNB chain, we've talked about it. Pancake Swap, Ape Swap, Thinafy, we just spoke about it. The token basically, Wombat Exchange and Magpie. Ethereum Uniswap, again, I'll give you a demo of how effectively we can use Uniswap and how Uniswap is slightly different as compared to the other decentralized exchanges, where it doesn't need to incentivize the liquidity mining separately using a farming techniques. So it's a little different, and you need a lot of patience for Uniswap. So Avalanche, Pangolin, and Trader Joe. Flare Exchange, again, I gave a demo of Pangolin in my last video. Cosmos, we just spoke about it. So Cosmos Hub is where I had originally maintained for just the staking purposes and Injective staking. But right now I'm expanding to the Osmosis Zone, some of the Juno platforms that have recently been introduced. Helios, which is a decentralized perpetuals engine. Stride, which is the liquid staking protocol. Astroport, which is the AMM, but is right now in a testnet for Injective at this point. Pancake Swap is the only thing that I'm currently using in Aptos, but I'm also expecting the StreetShrine.io. I've taken an NFT position with StreetShrine.io, which is again a platform, a partner platform of EVSys Bay. MetaVault.trade is the only platform that I'm using in Polygon right now. Practically most of the Polygon platforms, decentralized exchanges, are unreliable at the moment with Polygon, I would say, from an AMM perspective. Not from a swap perspective, but from an AMM or a liquidity mining perspective, most of them are unreliable. Arbitrum, again, it's to be decided. It's too early stages, I would say. Hamachi is probably one thing that I've just stepped into. Optimism, again, there were extreme number of rug pulls in Optimism to start with, and in all of these decentralized platforms, in all of these blockchains, almost 50% of the projects that are started are actually rug pulls. So we have to be extremely careful in terms of our analysis, in terms of the time and effort that we need to spend in choosing the right platforms. That's why I try and restrict my decentralized exchanges or the platforms that I stick to. And these are some of the tokens that I had mentioned in my last video. Not necessarily I had lost confidence in all of them, like for example Audio and SKL. I still have a lot of confidence, but it's just that I had to take an exit from those positions to build positions in the new tokens that I've invested in. Again, my strategy that I've been explaining from my previous episodes, I'll just reiterate. 90% of my crypto is currently in decentralized exchanges, and the reason I've been explaining it from episode 24, if you do not understand certain portions of the decentralized concepts, you need to look at episode 24, which is where I've explained the reason and the rationale why I started moving into decentralized exchanges. And most of these tokens are earning a passive crypto almost every single day, and that is one of the reasons I moved to the decentralized exchange. Again, from a liquidity pool perspective, I try and keep as much as possible in safer pools like BTC CRO, Link CRO, Injective Ethereum, Seek BNB, because either ways I'm happy with the impermanent loss. If everything becomes, if I get more BTC or more CRO, or if I get more Link or more Injective or more Ethereum, either ways these are tokens in my top portfolio, so I'm happy with this. So I stick to safer liquidity pools where I am happy with the outcome that I get more of either side of the tokens from an impermanent loss perspective. That's how I get the impermanent loss to work in my favor when the price action is actually making one token go higher and the other token go lower. And I convert this passive income, whatever I get out of this staking from an incentivized staking perspective, convert it into passive income, and I change it to stable coin as USDC, which I've said many times in the past. And this liquidity helps me reinvest during the crashes and helps me do a dollar cost average where I can reduce the overall average cost of my tokens. So now again, try and reinvest only part of your profits and try and take the investment out, because you need to actually, whole point of investment is to try and take profits out. So realizing profits is very, very key. So from a liquidity mining perspective, there are two key points that I want to talk about. One is, most of the exchanges, most of the decentralized AMMs, they have to incentivize the liquidity mining using a farm for you to be profitable. But however, Uniswap is slightly different. Uniswap is liquidity is mining is based on volume, and we can better understand if you look at an example of my render Ethereum portfolio or render Ethereum farm that I've done. So in Uniswap, I had taken a position of render Ethereum, provided liquidity for render and Ethereum. This is way back in December that I had started the liquidity mining. And as you can see, the initial days, my liquidity mining fees that I can collect is about $25 to $30, about $28 on this particular day. So if I'm trying to collect this like a normal liquidity mining in the other blockchains, the gas fees itself is around $12, $13, which means collecting a $20, $30 liquidity mining fees and then trying to reinvest it is not an effective technique from a liquidity mining perspective in Ethereum. So again, if you want to actually add more tokens like we can add in the other blockchains, if I'm trying to add like $150 worth of tokens into the liquidity mine to increase my position of my liquidity, even then the gas fees is about $7 or $8. So just for the swapping, the gas fees is $7 or $8. And as you can see, if I say okay here and try and go back and add the liquidity, again I'm going to pay another gas fee. So if you compare this in BNB chain or Kronos, you would be paying fees like 10 cents, 20 cents, or maximum you would pay in fees about 30 cents or 40 cents in the other tokens, other blockchains. But here, if I try and increase the liquidity now, and if I just select all my render and then I have enough of Ethereum token, when I click on preview, it is going to tell me that I don't have enough gas fees for Ethereum, even though I have about $10 left. And the reason for it is the gas fees is about $14. So to try and add $150 worth of tokens into the liquidity pool, my gas fees is about $14. This is on the 9th of December, for example. So I cannot add the tokens at this point. So I'm waiting for another couple of days, and I'm trying to see the volume, total volume of Ethereum transactions. When it is actually low, the congestion will be low, and when the congestion is low, the gas fees will also be low. So a couple of days later, I'm trying the exact same transaction, trying to add about $150 worth of liquidity, and now the gas fees is about $5.85. So it is literally about 70% cheaper as compared to the gas fees couple of days back. So it is very important to try and reduce your gas fees when you're operating in like $100, $200 worth of. If you have like $10,000, if you're a whale, then it makes no difference for you for these small amounts. But when we are only working with like $100 or $200, like retail investors like us, it is very important to minimize the gas fees. Now I'm in January, a month later, almost more than a month later, and as you can see, it has just gradually increased from about $28 to $245. So even without enhanced incentives, the normal liquidity mining fees collected is about 10% of what we had originally invested, and slightly it is now balanced towards Ethereum. I got more Ethereum and I've got less render, but that is okay because I know it keeps going back and forth between render and Ethereum over a period of time. So at this point, the render's price is going up. As a result, the render's liquidity is down and Ethereum's liquidity is more. So a couple of days later, on 21st of January, after almost a month, more than a month, it had gone from $28 to about $240. But within 2 days, because the volume has been significantly higher, my total fees has now gone up to almost $300. So within a couple of days, my incentive has gone by $60. So that is again the power of waiting and making sure that you're not collecting the fees on a daily basis, because which is not productive where the gas fees is really high. So VVS Finance, again, I explained in previous videos that I moved all my liquidity, but I'm still using VVS Finance for their IGO primarily. So on 17th of January, for example, they introduced the IGO for Vino Finance, which is again another liquid staking protocol like Argo Finance. And the price point at which the VNO tokens were introduced were really good. It's about $0.04. and I participated in this IGO, and my total allocation was about 1250, which is roughly about $50. And immediately I was able to withdraw about 625 VNO tokens, and the remaining 625 were vested over a period of time. Now the VNO Finance token price is about 25 cents, which is nearly 6 times the price from the launch price. And from my $50 investment, by immediately selling the 625 tokens, I get about $164, which is a price profit of $114. So that's how the IGO works for VVS Finance. So we'll finish off with a quick demo of two Kronos decks that I'm using, which is CRO Swap and Board Candy. In CRO Swap, the primary supply that I'm giving is WBTC CRO, Bitcoin CRO. And once every couple of days, I get about $30 to $40 worth of tokens that I can harvest, or passive income that I can harvest. And what I can do is I can actually go to the stake option, and I can harvest it very easily. And the fees, like I said, in Kronos is compared to Uniswap, it is so much cheaper, like other blocks, like other L1 and L2 blockchains that have come up after Ethereum. And I can easily harvest my rewards, and I can convert my CROS to USDC or any other stable coin by just paying like 20 to 30 cents worth of total fees, and it takes about less than 2 minutes when you want to harvest it. And finally, the Candy City, which is the Board Candy project, which is from the Board Candy project. I'm providing liquidity for CR1 link. Ideally, this CR1 link would have just remained idle in my portfolio. But by providing a liquidity, I'm getting about $4 to $5, which is still decent returns, about 30% APR returns, which is decent return for a token that I would have anyway held as part of my portfolio. So again, hopefully this video was useful to you and the strategies were helpful for you. Thank you.